In moving this motion, I declare it to be a matter of confidence in the government. And I make it quite clear that if the motion is not carried, or if an amendment unacceptable to the government is carried, the government will treat that as a matter of the lack of confidence of this House in the government and will resign immediately. And we take this attitude because of the fundamental importance of questions raised in the motion to the continuance of democratic and responsible government in this state. Every member of this House today faces a clear and uncompromising test of his adherence to the fundamental principles of parliamentary democracy and of his belief in the integrity and significance of this House as the focal point of responsible government in South Australia. The police of this state are required to be responsible to the public for their actions, as is any other sector of government. We will no longer have a democracy if a part of the police force is allowed to take the attitude that it owes no responsibility to the elected government or the parliament of this state, but in its own judgment may pay a greater loyalty to some persons or organisations outside the state, or set its own judgment above that of the government, the parliament and the people. Particularly is this so in the matter of politics. The police must be concerned with the safety and security of the state, but they must not be concerned with party political matters.
So the Premier and the government of this state have let power go to their heads. It's been apparent in the building up of what has now been recognised as the Dunstan establishment. The appointment of friends, supporters or sympathisers into key positions of power, and the increasing disregard for public opinion in whatever they do in this state. So the people of South Australia have been conditioned to the unusual, the unexpected and the unconventional in their Premier and their government. And this most recent and serious episode has finally broken the shock barrier for South Australians and shown them, perhaps for the first time, the arrogance and the naked abuse of power which has become a characteristic of the present administration. Favours are given and a price is ultimately demanded. And there's a stink of corruption tainting the pure, clean air we've previously enjoyed in South Australia. Mr. Speaker, how did the judge know which material was scandalously inaccurate, even if he knew people closely and well? Does he pretend to know everything about everyone he knows? Friends are often the last people to know the truth in matters of security. And if he was so short of time, how did he find so many people he knew in a truly random check?
The normally austere parliamentary chamber hadn't seen anything like it since the stormy debates of the Charla Dam days. Members of the public queued from 1 o'clock to get into the two strangers' galleries, while television cameras and lights dominated the front row of the first floor gallery. The Speaker, Mr Langley, gave permission to allow the electronic media to record the Sailsbury debate on the proviso that only the opening speeches of Premier Dunstan and Opposition Leader David Tonkin be recorded. The Premier started the debate by moving a 6-point motion of confidence in his own government. He then launched into a 32-page statement which took an hour and 40 minutes to read and reiterated in detail the reasons for Mr Sailsbury's dismissal.
11:30 p.m. I believe the proper course was to have a judicial officer investigate the matter, and this we did. Quite clearly, from Judge White's report, the answers which were given to me on repeated occasions by the Commissioner of Police as to the nature and extent of special branch work were wrong, and very seriously wrong. I deal with the matter specifically from Judge White's report. I read these extracts. My report discloses the special branch has maintained records on political, trade union and other sensitive subject matters for 23 years. Their existence was not mentioned to the government in spite of several requests for information about them. The special branch believed that it owed a greater loyalty to itself and its own concept of security than to the government. The fact is that the material collected in special branch was not kept by special branch alone. As Judge White points out from his examination of the cards and files, there was a free flow of information to ASIO of the material that was collected. when he made specific queries. It occurs in his report that he was told that ASIO had all this information, and that includes all the trade union information, for instance. Now, sir, the fact is, of course, that once it had got to ASIO, it was not kept secret. We don't need to establish the facts on that matter for ourselves, for those facts have been established by a Royal Commission, the Hope Royal Commission. The government has acted properly and legally, and all the facts relating to that matter have been disclosed to the House and are public property. There is nothing on those matters to be established by a Royal Commission, and a Royal Commission is only to be established if there is something to be elicited anew or which cannot be established publicly as matters stand. That is not the case here. The facts are plain. The minutes of the Police Commissioner are plain. The facts as to what were contained in special branch files concealed by the Police Commissioner's minutes are plain. The Police Commissioner's statement that he had withheld information by intention from government and that he was right to do so is plain. And what is plain also is that no responsible government can allow the head of an executive branch of government to take that attitude and to remain in office denying the responsibility of elected government. Now, as to the rest, sir, the terms of reference, that is the terms of appointment and employment of the Police Commissioner, the government doesn't propose that to be the subject of a Royal Commission. That has already been dealt with by the House under statute, and the government doesn't propose to alter the provisions of the statute. It was a statute introduced by a Liberal government, and we have acted in accordance with it. The term of reference E, the principle of ministerial responsibility in its application to the police and the Police Commissioner, has already been the subject of a Royal Commission.
Opposition leader David Tonkin told the House that petitions containing more than 60,000 signatures had been given to him shortly before today's parliamentary session got underway. The petitions call for a Royal Commission into all aspects of the Sailsbury sacking.
Nothing he has said today has answered to my satisfaction or to the satisfaction of the majority of people in South Australia. The questions which are currently on everyone's lips. Sir, why did the Premier sack the Police Commissioner so suddenly and appoint his successor so rapidly, and was he justified in doing so? And honourable members may laugh, sir, but that is a question which is being asked throughout South Australia. Why will he not have a Royal Commission into the matter? Sir, his reasons are entirely specious. And what has he and his government to hide? These are the questions which are being asked throughout the state, sir. But the major points at issue are summed up by these questions, and they're the questions to which the Premier has given no rational answer. Sir, he stated when he began that this was a vote of confidence. And certainly it is. But what a specious remark to say that he will resign immediately if in fact it's not passed. He knows he has the numbers. He knows that party politics comes into this. And he knows, sir, that there's no chance that he'll be asked to resign, although, sir, his credibility is reaching a stage now where there's every reason to suppose that he should. Sir, in fact, I maintain that there is no justification and no excuse for what he has done to a most honourable man, to the reputation of a fine police force, to the system of responsible government, and ultimately to the people of South Australia. And to say that he's done what he's done in the name of democracy is hypocrisy and nothing more. Sir, is it any wonder that evidence of such remarkable and unbalanced behaviour by the Premier and presumably the government should have raised serious doubts in the mind of the community? Why did the Premier sack the Police Commissioner so suddenly and appoint his successor so rapidly? And following on that, was he justified in sacking the Commissioner? He says he was, sir. I don't believe it. He has in no way justified his action today. Sir, the White Report, which will be dealt with in some detail by my colleagues, was used as basis and justification for the dismissal by the Premier. He's gone into a long quotation from that report today. And, sir, he was totally unjustified in using that as a basis for the dismissal, as even a cursory examination of that report will show. The reasons given by the Premier were that the Police Commissioner had given misleading and incomplete answers to questions about the extent and nature of special branch files. I repeat, coming from a government, Mr. Speaker, with ministers who continually mislead Parliament in question time, quite often by not giving answers to the questions asked, or giving answers back to questions on notice that it would take too much trouble to get the information, and from a government which has suppressed more than one report, this is the height of hypocrisy.